In other words, if you're not paying your share on defence and you're undercutting America on tax, then do not expect a special relationship. Let's get the view now of Andrew Gilligan, Senior Fellow Policy Exchange and former advisor to Boris Johnson. Andrew, thank you so much for joining me. So was that a reasonable assessment of this report from the Policy Exchange?
Yes, I mean, I think Ireland's had a fantastic relationship with both America and Europe for many years, to its enormous benefit. Obviously, they've attracted huge numbers of American tech companies to Dublin by giving them tax breaks, and they've also kind of freeloaded off NATO for years. They obviously they're dependent on the security provided by NATO, but they're not a member of NATO. They spend virtually nothing on defence, and they've been able to kind of grandstand and chest beat about things like Israel and how wicked the rest of the West is, while still enjoying the protection of the West security umbrella. That kind of arrangement's really starting to unravel. You've seen the Americans coming in really hard against Ireland now. So Howard Lutnick, for instance, the US Commerce Secretary, he branded the tax breaks to all these American tech companies. He branded a tax scam because obviously they charge most of the activity to do across Europe into the Irish exchequer, even if it doesn't take place in Ireland, and they benefit from Ireland's low tax rates, and that's why he's called it a scam. And equally, he says, look, they're spending nothing like enough on defence. They've got, one of the main Russian threats, of course, to Western Europe is submarines, but Ireland's waters have no submarines. Ireland has no submarines at all. It hasn't really got much of a navy. It's got a handful of small vessels, which aren't enough to protect it against and indeed NATO's western flank against Russian submarine attacks. So it's a warning. It's a big warning for Ireland, this report, but it's also a warning for Britain, like you say. And I think Britain's not in quite the same position. It spends a lot more than Ireland on defence. It's still one of the kind of major European powers on defence, but its defence capability is not what it was, and it's not spending enough, as the government kind of recognises. But as always with Keir Starmer's government, it's just difficult to know how effectively they're going to tackle that problem.
Yeah, let me bring in my panel here in DC, Andrew, if you don't mind. Former aide to Margaret Thatcher, Niall Gardner, and the head of media for the Institute of Economic Affairs, Reem Ibrahim, are both also with me this evening. Guys, Niall, let me come to you first. The relationship between the UK and the US, apparently we could learn something from Ireland. Do you agree?
Well, I think it's an important report, and Robert O'Brien, the former National Security Advisor, is a very serious figure. He's someone who strongly believes in the US-UK special relationship. And I think, without a doubt, Keir Starmer's weak-kneed Labour government is undermining the special relationship with the United States. I think that's a very real concern here in Washington. Labour are not serious about defence commitments. They're not serious about their NATO commitments. And the reality is we have a socialist left-wing government in London that frankly is really launching Britain down the path of relentless decline, and that's bad news, of course, for the United States.
Reem, your thoughts on this? Keir Starmer, he's seen Trump a couple of times this year, and on both occasions Trump has said the UK is very important to him, not least because his mother was Scottish. We hear that a lot. There's a sort of sentimentality that he feels towards the UK, but is that going to count for nothing in the long run?
Well, Britain is absolutely in perpetual decline at the moment, and it's by no fault of anybody else other than the government. The government have presided over the highest tax burden since the Second World War, and we have huge amounts of debt, and part of this is due to the fact that we're not able to spend that money on what is actually needed, which is defence. The UK cannot defend itself if we go to war. That is scary, and it should scare every single Brit and every European if we don't understand exactly where that money is going, reducing public spending, but also ensuring that the UK is actually economically competitive. The UK is poorer than every single American state. We are poorer than Mississippi. We cannot afford to currently fund levels of public spending, and so of course we also cannot afford to defend ourselves.
Andrew, you've got a long and distinguished understanding of the relationship between the UK and the US. Would you say that we have more in common now with America than at any other time, or could we not be further apart politically?
One of the interesting things is how interested the US administration is, this administration is in Britain. Bluntly, previous US administrations, special relationships been a lot more special to Britain than it has to America. Obama was pretty much openly hostile to Britain. Quite a lot of other presidents paid lip service to it, but didn't really care. It feels like Trump, Vance, they really are actually interested in Britain. Trump's been several times, of course. Vance has been. He chose to spend his holiday here. I think they think it's a kind of, it's kind of, if you like, the original state of the Anglosphere that's gone wrong, and they want to try and help fix it. Now, I'm not sure a lot of people in Britain would be happy with that characterization. Trump and Vance are pretty unpopular over here, but nonetheless, it's actually good for us. It's good for the UK. That the United States is taking an interest and is prepared to give as it sees its help.
Yeah, great to see you, Andrew Gilligan there. Thank you so much for joining us.